Welcome to Spatial Conversations. I'm Alex Bratton, your host, the Lextech CEO and Chief Geek. And with me today, I have Dean Curtis from Ingage, and we're going to talk about all things spatial AI and otherwise. Welcome, Dean.
Thanks for having me, Alex. This is an amazing experience.
Absolutely. So
Uh,
what are you thinking of these new personas?
it's compared. So we had a call a couple weeks ago, right before the
Hmm.
announcement, and while it was incredible, this is completely next level.
Yeah,
I
this
showed some
is
of my.
you. This is you.
It's unbelievable. I showed some of the folks here in the office before I jumped on. I'd taken a screenshot of what I was going to look like, and they were like completely blown. They're like, "That's actually you." I was like, it's actually
That's
me.
it. Those are the magic words. And this
Yeah.
is just so different than the VR, the pretend avatar. So this is so cool.
Yeah. I mean, I literally sitting in the room with you like we have many times before and having a conversation, even though I'm in Philadelphia, you're in Florida.
So we first met back in the day when you were working at Apple and at Lextech. We were partnered doing some fun things together.
Yeah.
So you've had a long history of diving into cool Apple tech like this. Last week was Apple's WWDC Developer Conference. Anything jump out at you from that as number one, your key takeaways?
Well, the key takeaway is the fact that the user interface in iOS is now going to be updated since the first time since what iOS 7.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty big change, and what we've noticed with our apps is it's given us the opportunity to really rethink some things. So that's been, I think, the biggest takeaway.
Nice. And you mentioned your apps. What's the core focus for your apps? What kind of things are you guys helping people do with those apps?
Yeah, the problem we solve for business is we help you create amazing interactive experiences. We're primarily focused on sales teams. Give them the presentations that they need, very immersive, interactive digital presentations. Give you the tools to help them share with the team who needs it, and then measure with analytics to see actually how it's being used. So a lot of people know PowerPoint, things like that. We take that to the next level.
Nice. So again, experience design, which something like this becomes so, that
Incredible.
word experience is so important.
Yeah.
Um, Anything else that jumped out as far as, I guess, things from the announcements last week that kind of caught your attention?
I think the fact that it's unified across all platforms. I think when you look at Apple
Mm-hmm.
platforms, you like, oh, I do my iPhone for this or my iPad for that. Having it unified for people in a very common user interface, I think is going to be a big game changer and big win across the board.
Agreed. Well, especially given that you've got the same app that can kind of float across all of those platforms, that
Yeah.
it
We
starts to make a whole
support
lot of sense.
yeah, we support all those platforms. So to make it a unified thing is going to be really helpful for us.
Nice, very nice. Well, we were talking earlier about just again jumping into spatial and how it's been evolving, and we're really, just over a year into this whole spatial thing. Where do you see it going? What's this look like in a year or five?
Man, I think a lot of it is hardware dependent. I think the one of the we obviously I have one of these devices and we've been testing it for the last year. The challenge that we find is just having it available to the market that we serve. And what are the different use
Mm-hmm.
cases? I know you and I have talked about different things in terms of an immersive virtual experience like we're having now. I think it completely changes the game. The market we serve is it's business to consumer. So think of a salesperson going into someone's home. But where I think it could really play is if they had a showroom experience or something like that. We're
Mm-hmm.
dealing with home improvement folks, and being able to virtualize and visualize
I'll
things
make
could
make it
be a
real.
game changer.
Yeah, I could totally see that. But at that same time, yes, with the having access to the headset as something that's just more accessible.
Yeah, but one of the things that was announced last week was the ability to have controls and management around the headset so that you have
Hmm.
access for other people, right? And it's not just that personal device. I think is a
Yes.
big advancement too.
And I think that's very cool because it allows you to essentially take that profile and store it on your personal iPhone so it's yours.
Yep.
It's not something that somebody else is managing on a device.
Yeah, totally. I go back to when I was at Apple 8+ years ago. We were at the forefront back then of mobile device management. Like that was one of the things that I worked on was back in the day. And now you look at what's announced last week with managing these devices and fleets of everything. It's come a long way in the last, gosh, 15 years. It's been a long time.
Wow, it's been that long. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so again, we're here immersed spatially, and obviously talking about our wonderful Vision Pros that we're wearing to be able to derive these kind of experiences. When we get into that next stage of, okay, how do we bring immersive experiences to folks? I know that's where AI is frequently starting to play a part.
Hmm.
Where's AI really driving into the experiences that you guys are putting together with folks?
The For us, it's really helping customers solve the blank page problem, and I think that's where a lot of people get
I know
stuck.
exactly what you mean. Yes.
Right. That's my own personal use. Is a lot of it is I don't need to have a blank page anymore. I can have a blank page in a chat model, and I can just start talking to it rather than having to organize my thoughts. I can just start thinking out loud and get the model to help me really organize what I'm thinking about. And we're using that with our customers as well. So a big starting point for us is they need to build some content. Well, if I can help them
Mhm.
solve that blank page problem by bringing in source content that they already have and bringing it
Mhm.
together, we can kickstart them a lot faster.
No, I love that. And that content generation thing, that's actually one of the things that excites me even about the spatial realm, is
Totally.
as we start having AI able to generate 3D content or other types of things for experiences. But it's awesome to hear you guys are making that real.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I think everyone struggles with content development, right? You go
Hmm.
out and you look on any social media platform, you're inundated with content. How much of it is actually what I call converting content? How much can
Yeah.
help move you from point A to point B in a sales process or in an educational process? And the more immersive you can make that content, I mean, what we do in the presentation world is all about that. It's really connecting and helping
Hmm.
someone along the buyer journey. This spatial world could be incredibly productive for teams if they can harness it in the right way.
Oh, agreed. Something that jumped out at me last week when I was having a conversation with someone is that, and it's on, it's public for Apple. They have the VPG Vision Products Group.
Hmm.
There's an S on the end of products.
Hmm.
That was just that was one of those moments.
Yeah.
What does that mean for the future?
Yeah.
There's gonna be more. There's gonna be other things that take us into those kind of experiences that are more accessible, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you wear glasses. I wear glasses every
Hmm.
single day. I'm very intrigued to see the technologies as it advances so that maybe something that I wear every day could be used to augment the world that I'm viewing to help me
Hmm.
in an AI way. There's lots of conversations about AI um, pins and AI things that are on your person. What could that be? And if it was part of my glasses or part of my watch, how could I integrate all these things to really supercharge my day and make me more efficient, make me more
Hmm.
effective, make me remember that guy's name that I see who's walking up?
Who
Like
is
even
that? Yeah.
the simplest of things, right?
I totally get that. Well, and given Apple's approach of don't just push that all off to the cloud, keep it private and keep it personal, that's what excites me the most about some of this stuff is whether it's the iPhone in my pocket that's doing some of that processing. I love the new on-device LLM stuff that came out. I think that's
Yeah.
huge.
It's
Um,
huge. It's my job back in the day at Apple. We were at the forefront of iPhone in business, and we would go in and talk
mhm.
to chief information security officers at Fortune 500 companies. And my job was literally to explain to them the security architecture of iPhone. I very much hold that near and dear to my heart even still, right? As my friends come and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about a phone. What should I get?" I'll never say anything but iPhone just because I know it so intimately. And now in this world of these large language models and the
Mhm.
privacy of your data, and we think about it as a company, we've invested in tools to keep our data private in the AI world because I don't want to say fear, it's probably not the right word. I want to be really smart as a leader of a company to understand the risks, assess those risks, and buy the right technology to ensure we're protecting our secrets.
Absolutely. And it is the reality. And we've seen that and it's not just starting now. We saw it with the advertising domains and some of the other companies out there where we are all their product because they give us stuff for free because they want
Totally.
all of our data. And
Yeah.
that's going to be a challenge.
I have teenage kids, and I always have to remind them that if it's free, you're the product. And it took them a
Yep.
little while to internalize that, but they have a good perspective on it now.
Nice. Nice. So let's talk AI personal use. So what have you found where AI has made the biggest personal impact for you?
I'll go back to the blank page problem. I'll give you a real interesting example. So, in my personal life, I coach and I had to nominate, or four of my players needed to get a letter of recommendation for me to the same scholarship. So I'm writing four letters to the same scholarship committee about four different individuals. If I had tried to do that on my own, it would have taken me an entire afternoon, because I take it seriously and I think they're all have equal merit. All I did, don't tell them, but all I did is I used ChatGPT to go in, and I put the description of the scholarship. I told it to act like a lacrosse coach. Here's four individuals. Here's the unique things about them. Write me four unique letters of recommendation for the scholarship.
Nice.
I mean, so simple things like that gained me tremendous efficiency. I still edited them. I still went and looked at and made sure it was personalized and took out some of the language that I maybe wouldn't have used. But to me, that's the use. So for me personally, AI is all about efficiency. How can I get through the day doing less and getting more effective in what I'm actually outputting each day?
Well, and I love the way you're labeling that as the blank page problem, and that hits us all so many times every day. That is very, very cool.
Yeah. Analysis, data analysis. I had a car, and I needed to unpair the remote from the car because I was trading it in. So I literally
Which manual is that in? Yeah.
Which manual is that in? Am I going to search Google? No, I use chat. I literally have programmed my iPhone so that instead of the flashlight button on the home screen, it's ChatGPT.
Nice.
Right. So
Very
just
nice.
launch that app. I get right into ChatGPT, and I can search unpair remote home link from blah, blah, blah. And within 5 seconds, I had the answer. So all about efficiency for me.
That is awesome. Well, so as our wrap-up question for you, so as we look at folks right now that are looking to get into either spatial or AI, any, I'll call it career advice or even company advice, that if people who are looking to do more in these kind of technologies, any suggestions of how they lean in and start absorbing it to just get in and make it real?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. Number one, if you have a problem to solve, go solve that problem. I think a lot of times we pick up technology without a problem to solve. When I started learning to code way back in the day, and I don't code anymore, I always found it easier to learn a language when I was actually trying to write something that was meaningful for me. And I think the same thing with AI. What problem are you trying to solve? With spatial, what problem are you trying to solve? That's first and foremost. And the second is, don't wait. Just try something. Yeah. I've talked to some friends who are a little afraid of AI. I said, why are you waiting? There's problems, there's things, your questions you're asking yourself all day. Go ask those questions of the model. You might not like it and what they say, but fine. But
right. Instead of a Google, just ask the AI. And
absolutely,
as a practice, that's perfect.
Yeah, I think that's true. I could take that as almost a meta point for life, right? So many people wait for the conditions to be perfect. And it's like, no, don't wait to go to the gym. Go do 10 minutes and leave. That's totally fine. You don't have to have the 60-minute gym session with the trainer. Go do something and get your feet off the ground, one step in front of the other.
Got it. Take that first step. Well, Dean,
right.
Thank you. I love that. These interactions are just awesome.
It's so great. We're sitting in the same room. We physically feel like we're sitting in the same room. It's amazing.
This is totally it, and this is going to change everything. And we'll have more conversations like this in the future. I love it.
For sure.
Very cool. Well, thank you for jumping in with us today.
You bet. Thanks, Alex.
And thanks for joining us for another Spatial Conversation.